Josh George here, recording my MAC 2022 college football preseason preview. So, we're going to start with the East Division here. And Akron. Look, Akron returns 8 starters on offense and 8 starters on defense. But they were 128th in rush defense, which is what Coach Moorhead is going to try to fix in his first season. He does have a good track record. He sits at 52-25. The problem is, over the last 5 years, Akron has averaged 16.8 points per game. Now, one thing I will say about the MAC, I think it is the closest from top to bottom in terms of talent. The closest league in college football, certainly in FBS. I've got them at 2-10, 1-7 this season, and we'll see what Moorhead can bring in next season. Bowling Green. Look, the Falcons return 9 starters on offense and 8 on defense. Really, 117th in total offense is really where this team struggles. Matt McDonald, a guy who at quarterback needs to do a little bit better. And how will his protection be? They're talking about one of his best offensive linemen is going to be Alex Pedget, a freshman who is the 11th in this Bowling Green class. When it comes down to it, I don't know if that offense is going to perform well enough to win the games that get close, and I feel like the MAC is going to have a lot of close games. I've got them 4-8 and 3-5 in conference play. Now, Ohio. The Ohio Bobcats are coming off a 3-9 season, and their deepest position is the running back position, and that's what they're going to use the most. Their 3 big running backs are going to be Alvin Floyd, the senior, Ben Johnson, the junior, and then Dante Fisher, the freshman. Yeah, they were 18th in the nation in rush calls last year, rush versus pass. So they're going to really run the football and try to dominate on the line of scrimmage and things like that. And they were on defense. They have 14 seniors in their 2 deep depth chart, which it shows a lot of experience. And they were 7th in the MAC in yards per play on defense. So a team that's really decent, but when it comes down to it, they just don't have all the cogs and all the pieces. They're just not all there yet. I've got them 4-8 and 3-5 in conference play. Now, Kent State. Look, the Golden Flash have 4 starters back on offense, only 4, and only 6 on defense. This team is all over the map. Everyone's saying conference champs to a flop this season, to somewhere in the middle. It's Shane Lewis's 5th year. So they were 4th in total offense, 177th in yards per play on defense. So I think that their offense is good enough to win some games and to surprise some teams. As you look here, I will point out I do have them beating Washington, which will be a big win in part of their 6-6 to 4-4. And I'll just give you the analytics for that right now. Look, Washington, they lost their opening game to an FCS opponent last season, and this offense has some surprises, so I think they could pull that off. So, now to the Bulls, the Buffalo Bulls. Look, they've got an interesting quarterback duel between Matt Mayer and Cole Snyder, but their big key is Q Williams, who had 835 yards last season, is coming back. But they were 93rd in scoring defense with only 6 starters coming back. That's why I have them at 7-5 and 5-3 this season. Now to the team that I have winning the division, and that's the Miami of Ohio RedHawks. They come into the season 76th in the power rankings, but Brett Gabbert, who we all know his brother is in the NFL, is 8 in the 8th ranked. Was 8 in the nation on first and second down last season. The problem is third down, because they were 62nd overall in total offense. Right now, Vegas has them has the over/under at 6.5 wins this season, so they're really hard to get a grip on as well. Their defense, they have 5 starters for this year, so if they can edge out some of those tough games, and if Gabbert improves, I've got him at 4-8, at 8-4, and 6-2 in conference play. Then to the Western Division. Starting with Ball State here. Look, the Cardinals were conference champs in 2020, and then in 2021 went 6-7. So why do they fall to the bottom of this conference? This team just seems to be falling. They were 91st in passing defense last season, allowing over 7 yards per pass last season. And Carson Steele, who has a chance to be the best running back, the best quality player coming back next season. He had 192 attempts and a team that averaged 176 yards per game in the rushing edge. So a team that's just got to produce a little bit more, but that rushing game gives them a chance to win some of those closer games. I've got them 4-8 and 2-6 in conference play. Now, Eastern Michigan Eagles, they were hovering right around 30 points per game on offense and 30 points per game let in on defense. So very average. Their new freshman their DNs that go too deep, Malik Bogard and Alex Mert, are going to be some of their top tacklers this year, as linebacker Tariq Spaghetts had 92 tackles last season. They also returned 9 starters on offense. An offense that was not a top offense, but will be experienced this year. And I think that gives them a chance to be 6-6 and 4-4 in conference play. Now to Western Michigan, the Broncos here. In 3 of their last 4 games, they scored over 40 points and had the number 1 defense in the MAC last season. But with only 4 starters on O coming back, they're rated 108th in the power rankings. And they averaged around 58 penalty yards per game last season. So someplace that they need to improve. I've got them 5-5, or 5-7 and 4-4 in conference play. And if you'll look at the head-to-heads, you'll figure out why I've got them ahead of Eastern Michigan, because the greens are the wins and the reds are the losses. Now, Central Michigan, the Chippewas. Look, they've got a 2 running back system and 7 starters back on offense, and but 112th last season in the pass game. Wide receiver Carlos Carries from Maryland is going to come in and try to change that. He's a transfer. And then they were 24th in total defense. Defense wins those close games. I've got him at 7-5 and 5-3 in conference play. Now, the Toledo Rockets. D-end Deshaun Johnson had 70 tackles last season, and then they were 30th in rushing offense, but 61st in passing offense, averaging 435 yards per game. So, can they get the quarterback in there? Can they figure it out? Get the pass game going to match this run game efficiency? If they can do that, I expect a spectacular year. But right now, what I'm seeing with matchups and things like that, I've got them 8-4 and 5-3 in conference play. Now, NIU. Look, NIU has 9 back on offense and 9 back on defense, starters that is. And they have Eric Kohler, which is an it factor at offensive coordinator, who works really well with Rocky Lombardi, who had completed 59% of his passes, is 6'3", and got his weight up to 230 pounds for this season. And they were 21st in passing O last season. But they only had 7 wins last year. They play an extremely tough schedule and have extremely tough matchups in the non-conference. But I think they can find a spark, get to 6-6 and 6-2 in conference play, and they get to where it's enough to get them to the conference championship and to win the conference championship over Miami of Ohio, because I'm betting on Rocky Lombardi. So that'll get them to 7-6, and that'll put Miami of Ohio 8-5. I'm Josh George. This was my MAC college football preview for 2022.